4, 3, 2.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Everyone on the outreach and everyone on the live stream. Thank you guys for coming back and joining us. So we're going to dive right in because I don't know how long this is going to be. With the previous trends of me talking, it might be an hour and 20 minutes again. I'm going to have to start shortening my messages down, but that actually proves to me that the content that we're discussing, it takes a lot and it's involved a lot, and we have to discuss a lot, and there's a lot more we can add to the topic. And so when I first started speaking, I could barely get 45 minutes in, and now I can't even talk without going the max of the actual CD. And so, but that means growth, if you ask me. I mean, we're growing into the knowledge of the Word to where we have more to offer and more to talk about, and we've retained more in our brain. Let's turn to Titus 2, verse 1. Titus 2, verse 1. And just two verses here. Titus 2, verse 1. We're picking up from the series that I'm doing right now, which is in regards to the example we must set. And so the first study or sermon I did was in regards to what does it entail? What does being the example entail? What are the characteristics and the attributes of being the example? And so we went through the laundry list. And basically I said we're going to do a study on each one of these so that we can understand what they truly mean. So the first one we did was humility. Almost forgot. And that's a perfect example of why we should do this, so we don't forget. First one we did, humility. The last one I talked about was our willingness to serve. Willingness to serve Yahweh and willingness to serve each other. This one is, well, let's read it first and then we'll understand what the next one is. Titus 2 verse 1 says, "But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged man be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith and charity and patience." And so I'll stop there. That the aged man be sober. Sober, or in other words, vigilant. The opposite or the synonym for sober is vigilant in this case. That the aged man be vigilant. And also I have verses that said the young man and the woman should also be vigilant. And so the title of this particular sermon is Be Sober, Be Vigilant. Be sober, be vigilant. So this word, being sober, is common mistakenly for being sober-minded. And this is truly a different word. This is Strong's 3524, which is from the root word 3525 Strong's, which is nephalaeos, if I can get that out. Nephalaeos means sober, that is virtually vigilant. And so obviously we need to define vigilant, because we don't want to mistake this word from sober-minded. And I'll give you guys the difference of the two. The definition of being vigilant is keeping careful watch for possible danger or difficulties. To be vigilant is to be or have careful watch for possible dangers or difficulties. Now, how is that different from being sober-minded? This word, root word of sober, is referencing us basically being on guard at all times. Being sober-minded is not being a drunkard, not being preoccupied with other things, not being having the cares of the world, as I see it. Sober-minded and sober actually are spoken as characteristics, and we're going to discuss both. But right now we're talking about being vigilant, the sober that says we should be on watch for possible dangers and difficulties that occur in our life. 1 Peter 5, verse 5. 1 Peter 5, verse 5. These are Titus 2 and 1 Peter 5 are the two main scriptures that I gave for us to be examples, our characteristics of being examples. So I'm just going to reread this one before I get into new scriptures. And you guys will know these scriptures by heart because I'm going to read them probably before we even talk about any of these characteristics, because this is where they lie. 1 Peter 5:5 says, "Likewise, ye young men, submit yourselves to the elders. Yea, all of you be subject to one another, and be clothed with humility." We talked about humility. "For Elohim resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. Humble yourself, therefore, or under the mighty hand of Elohim," under Yahshua, "that he may exalt you in due time. Cast all your cares upon him, for he careth for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, is a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." Be sober, be vigilant. So in this study, we're going to discuss what does it truly mean to be sober and to be vigilant. We talked about humility. We talked about our willingness to serve. Now we're going to speak about being vigilant in the Word, being vigilant in our walk to Yahweh, being vigilant at the adversary and his tricks and his snares and the wiles of the devil, so that we don't succumb to those things that are dangerous or difficult to us. So some of the other synonyms that I use for sober, this particular word in Strong's, was being watchful, being observant, keeping your eyes open, attentive, alert, on guard, careful, mindful, ready, and prepared. All of the things that we should be on a daily basis, or we should have as a part of our characteristics on a daily basis. This time I'm not going to talk so much as about being the example so that people can see that you're doing this, because a lot of times people won't see that you're on guard, or won't see that you're watchful, or won't see that you're, making sure that you're mindful and prepared for the difficulties that may lie ahead. But for us, and how we should go about life, should be our daily state, because we can see in the world that it's progressively getting harder and harder for us to manage through. Things are happening more frequently, bad things, temptations, tribulations, trials and tests, all of those are happening more frequently to Yahweh's people. And it's almost like it's the fourth quarter, and there's 2 minutes left on the clock, and the adversary is trying to score as many points as he can before the game is over. And so if he's doing full court press before the game is over with, we should be on guard even more to block whatever shots he's trying to take at us. And that's where our vigilance should come in. Why is it so important to be on guard at all times? Because we have no idea how long before the master will return. We don't know if it's going to be next week, next month, next year, 10 years, 100 years. In our lifetime, there's a lot of people that before us presumed that he would come in their lifetime, but he did not. And if he did not, did they stay vigilant till the end? Or did they lax in their guard against the wiles of the devil? Don't know. If we don't know when Yahshua's return, if it's not going to be in our lifetime, that means we must be on guard for our entire life so that we are not tricked into doing something or sinning or disobedience to Yahweh in any way. Let's turn to 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 1. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 1. Because the adversary, we already know he has tricks. He has a series of tricks. And he might use a different trick on the same person, trying to figure out which one will work. It is on us to make sure that none of the tricks work, regardless of what they are. Because the moment he tricks you and creates a snare for you that you fall into, a trap that you can't get out of, yes, we can reach out to Yahweh, he will get us out. But in most cases, Yahweh would love for us to do it ourselves, to have the ability to actually identify, understand, and always be on guard and watch so that we are not falling into the traps or the wiles of the devil. Before I read 1 Thessalonians 5:1, the way I think about this is, if you're always on guard, if you're always watching, if you're just constantly 24/7, making sure that you're being watchful, making sure that you're observant, keeping your eyes open and attentive and alert to what's going on, does that wear people down? Does that make you tired, head tired? Does that make you feel like, oh, I can't continue doing this. I can't continue always being on alert, being careful and ready and prepared 24/7 for the rest of my life. This is just tiring. It is. And the moment you say, oh, this is tiring, I can't do this, what is the adversary thinking? I got him. I worn them down to the point to where now I can slide in and maybe they'll fall for this or they'll fall for that. So the reason Scripture tells us, the aged man, the young women, and the aged women to be vigilant, because you can't let up. You cannot feel tired. You cannot not be ready, not be prepared, not be careful, because the moment you are, that's when you will succumb. 1 Thessalonians 5:1 says, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahweh so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then suddenly destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that is, that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober." We should not be caught sleeping as others do, but we should be on guard, watching, vigilant, and sober all the days of our life. Because if we're not, let's keep reading verse 7. "For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us who are of the day be sober, be vigilant, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet the hope of salvation. For Elohim hath not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Master Yeshua Messiah, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we have lived while we should live together with him. Wherefore comfort yourself together and edify one another, even as also ye do." Yahweh has not appointed us to wrath, because he has instructed us to be vigilant. How can we succumb to wrath if we are being obedient? A lot of people think when they read verse 9 that, oh, Yahweh has not appointed me to wrath, so I don't have to worry about anything. I follow him, so I don't have to worry. I call on his name. I do his feast days. I do all the Sabbath. I do all of this stuff, so I don't have to worry about anything. Is that a true statement? If you make that same statement and say, oh, I follow and I'm obedient to Yahweh, I call on his name, I do his Sabbath, I do all his feast days, I do everything he has commanded. And everything he has commanded to me as the example I've done. Humility, willingness, soberness, graveness, temperate, in faith and in love and in kindness. All of those things that we are commanded to do in characteristics, I also do. Doing the works and the emotional or characteristic side. Then we can say, yes, I've done all, so the wrath will not. I won't partake in the wrath. Yes, Tony.
I would think that if you're doing all these truths that you just spoke of that Yahweh wants us to do, that you would even be more of an attack, that Satan would want to fight against you more than anybody else.
Yes.
And so you need to be more on guard than other
Than
people.
anybody, because if you're doing what's right continuously, he doesn't need to worry about the people that are not doing right. He needs to, like I said, it's fourth quarter with 2 minutes left. He needs to get the people that are doing absolutely everything they can do to get into the kingdom. Those are the ones he has to get off guard. Those are the ones he has to put in a mental state of fatigue so that when he comes with his tricks, one of them just might get through. So yes, you are more of a target the more you do right by Yahweh. Yes, Amy.
And when you get to the kingdom, touchdown!
Touchdown! Exactly. You do your dance. And that's what you're looking for, to make it to that end zone. Thank you, Amy. But yes, I want to focus here on when it says that Elohim has not appointed us to wrath. No, he has not. But we still have something that we have to do. We've only talked about 3, but there are many more. And being vigilant is the main one, as Tony said, because the closer we get, the harder it's going to get. The more we're going to be attacked. The more things are just going to come out of nowhere. And it's going to take a lot of discernment to figure out what we should be doing. And the core of our discernment comes from always following Yahweh's word, what he has commanded us to do. Even if it's as simple as ask Yahweh first. Something might come up and we think, oh, I got this. I'm not going to bother Yahweh with it. Very simple. Ask Yahweh first. Take a beat. Hold on a second. Let him guide you. Yahweh is not appointed us to wrath because he has instructed us to be vigilant, which is basically one of the things we should, out of the many things we should do. But being vigilant will actually help us not succumb to any of his wrath. It says earlier in this, says, when they say peace and safety, or peace, peace, and there is no peace, and destruction comes upon them. Why? Because they think everything is okay. They think there's nothing for me to do. I'm not worried about anything. Yahweh got me. And then the adversary comes and whispers in their ear something, or somebody comes from, nowhere and says something that's not totally abiding to Scripture. And instead of us being vigilant, we're like, okay. And boom, he got us. Because we were not vigilant. We didn't hold fast and hold true. Ask him and do what we're supposed to do by watching and being sober. Instead, we did not watch and we were unsober, if that's even a word. We were not mindful. We were not prepared. We didn't keep our eyes open. If we think Yahweh's just going to do it for us, we have skin in the game. We have to do something. So I put some examples here, and I didn't give scriptures, but if you guys have any, give me some as well. But the example that always comes to my mind is Joseph. Joseph was mindful, he was vigilant. When Yahweh gave him the dreams that he would be over his brothers, he was vigilant enough to know what the dreams are, relayed the dreams, and believed in the dreams, that he would be over everybody, overruling of Egypt. And then when he made it to Egypt, his master's wife, when she tried to seduce him, he stayed vigilant. No, not going to do this. I'm going to abide by Yahweh's word no matter what you do and what you say. And then he got put in a prison. And he stayed in the prison. He was vigilant to Yahweh's word, knowing that the dreams were going to come true. I just needed to be patient and wait. So I'm going to vigilantly be patient and wait in this prison for Yahweh until he exalts me. And then when he was exalted as ruler over all in Egypt except for Pharaoh, he was still vigilant in Yahweh's word. delivering everybody in the land from the famine. Didn't succumb to the idols and all of the riches of Egypt. Stayed true to bring his family back. Didn't forsake them. That, in my mind, is being vigilant, watching through your entire life, not just for a time or season or for a certain event, but through your entire life. Now we know Yeshua is also an example. So he's perfect in all of his ways of being here. So it's self-explanatory for him. Does anybody else have an example of someone that was vigilant throughout their life? There are many more, it's just I can't think of any right now. Yes, Tony. Daniel. Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego. The story of Daniel, them being vigilant to say, we're not going to eat food sacrificed to idols. We're going to go vegetarian. Vegan. We're not going to bow down to your images. We're not going to do certain things. Even though we are in Babylon, we will not conform. We're going to be vigilant and watch out for any situation that might come up in this land that we sojourning in, foreigners in the land, because I'm sure they had many cultural things in Babylon that they did not really understand, but they were vigilant enough to figure them out so that they don't succumb or be tricked by the devil. That's a good one. Any others?
Paul,
Paul?
you mentioned how he was like an athlete who's training, keeps himself in good shape.
For run the race, yes. Got to basically stay in shape to run the race. You got to keep your mind in shape because the race is your life. And it's not over until it's over. Yes, that is a good example. Joshua, son of Nun. So Joshua's ability to go into the land and not be afraid of the people that were there, but be vigilant and believe in Yahweh that he would deliver the land to them. So him and who was the other one? It was Joshua and Caleb. Only two that really trusted.
Let's do the opposite. The ones who were not vigilant.
Next.
Okay.
That's where I'm going next. So we're talking about the ones that were. We got to have an example of good before we jump into the example of the bad. And so let's turn to 1 Kings 13. 1 Kings 13. I didn't put it in here, so I'm just going to high level summarize this one because this story is long. 1 Kings 13. We're going to pick it up in verse 11. 1 Kings 13, verse 11. But we've talked about those that actually were vigilant and ensuring that they didn't get caught up. What about those that were not vigilant? What happened to them? Solomon was not vigilant. Basically, in the end, all of those foreign wives did him in. But one that's really, really specific, and is without any doubt, is the story of the man of Elohim and the old prophet in the land of Israel. Yeah.
What's that?
We're in 1 Kings 13, verse 11, 16. And this is the man of Yahweh came to give Jeroboam, the king, prophecy. And I believe it was a prophecy of the bones will be burned, and a sign. It was a sign that he wasn't doing right, and that unless he repented and turned around, bad things were going to happen. I'm just summarizing.
Is this when he told the prophet not to go back?
Exactly. He told him not to go back. And so he went and gave him, Jeroboam, the words of Yahweh. Jeroboam, first thing he said, thank you for the words. I'm going to heed to your words. Stay here and have dinner with me. Eat with me. Jeroboam told him, no. The man of Yahweh doesn't give his name, which is surprising. Doesn't give the man of Yahweh's name, but he's told him, no. Yahweh told me not to sit and eat with anyone in this land, but to go back where I came from. And so as he's walking on the road, we're going to pick it up in verse 11. So he told the king And he was vigilant with the king of doing the word of Yahweh, not staying there and eating with the king, but delivering his message and going back home. But let's pick it up in verse 11. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of Elohim had done that day in Bethel. The words which he had spoken unto the king, them they told also to their father. And their father said unto them, what way went he? For his sons had seen what way the man of Elohim went, which came from Judah. And he said unto his son, saddle up the donkey. So that they saddled up the donkey and rode thereon, and went after the man of Elohim, and found him sitting on under an oak, and said unto him, art thou a man of Elohim that camest from Judah? And he said, I am. Then he said unto him, come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with thee, nor go in with thee, neither will I eat bread, nor drink water with thee in this place. For it was said unto me by the word of Yahweh, thou shalt eat no bread, nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that thou hast camest. And he said unto him, I am a prophet. And this is the prophet, the old prophet, which is very concerning, that he's older than the man of Elohim, and he is going to actually deceive the man of Elohim. Deception. And he said unto him, I am a prophet also as thou art. And an angel spake unto me by the word of Yahweh, saith, bring him back with thee into thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. The first trick that the adversary used was deception. Lying to Eve. And therefore, in this situation, if the man of Elohim was vigilant, if the man of Elohim was truly obedient, if the man of Elohim was sober in this situation, what should his reaction have been to this old prophet? Easy answer, no. Number one, we know the pecking order. So Yahweh told me to do this. And an angel told you, that angel does not outrank Yahweh. The adversary could present himself as an angel of light, if he so choose. So no. Even better yet, unless Yahweh himself tells me to stop and eat and go into your house, I will not do it. That's being vigilant. That's being on guard. That's being watchful for any tricks that's being presented towards you. And if you are that vigilant to where you can identify and think, let me ask Yahweh. Don't take anybody's word for it. Somebody walk up to you and say something that contradicts anything that you've been told that you should do, or the feeling that you have inside you that the Spirit has given you. You don't have to immediately give them an answer and do what they say. You can say, hey, let me ask Yahweh. Or, hey, let me look through Scripture and see what Scripture says about what you're saying. Or, I'll get back to you on that. I'm not going to tell you yes, I'm not going to tell you no. But I'm going to let Yahweh tell me whether this thing that you are saying is true. That is the vigilance that we are going to have here in the near future, because it's going to get so complicated. The adversary is going to get so minute in what we should and should not do to trick us and to falling off the path, that we might just have to take a beat and say, hold on, step back, give me a minute to gather my thoughts. Let's continue reading on. So he lied to him. Verse 19. So he went back with him and did eat bread in his house and drank water. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, the word of Yahweh came unto the prophet, which is the old prophet, that brought him back. And he cried unto the man of Elohim that came from Judah, saying, Thus saith Yahweh, for as much as thou hast disobeyed the mouth of Yahweh, and hast not kept the commandments which Yahweh thy Elohim commanded thee, but camest back and hast eaten bread and drank water in the place of the which Yahweh did say to thee, eat no bread and drink no water, that carcass shall not come until the sepulchres of thy fathers. He's going to die because he did not stay vigilant and sober to the commandments of Yahweh. Where he could have just said no, simply waited for Yahweh to give him the answer of whether he should or should not. And the answer didn't come, it still was a no, because it wasn't what Yahweh told him to do. Sometimes silence, it affirms that what I told you the first time is the truth. I don't know. I was an okay kid growing up. I wasn't too bad, but I wasn't an angel either. So I did some crazy stuff, but you would ask your parents, hey, can I do this? They say no. Then you come back again and say, hey, can I do this? And they just look at you. And then you put your head down and go in another room. That silence means the first answer I gave you is the answer you should get. Don't come and ask me again. And so I say that to say that if you guys are asking Yahweh for an answer, but he's already given you the answer, it might be silent. Don't take that as, oh, he must agree that I can go do this thing. No, that means that first answer is your answer. Don't ask me again.
So do we
Yes.
know, was this a test directly from Yahweh to see if he would
It wasn't a test, it was a commandment.
be, with regard to sending to the other prophet, asking him to come and eat with him because he heard?
So you think about it, he was coming from Judah to Israel. Israel at this time was very wicked. And so this prophet may have been a prophet of Yahweh, but who else was he a prophet of? And who else, what else? Was he idolater? Was he truly obedient? What else did this prophet, old prophet, do? And if he lied, that means he was not righteous. And so therefore, he was I don't want to say a messenger of Satan, but he was, what's the word I'm looking for?
He was a messenger of Satan.
Yeah, he was literally.
It's one or the other. Who's your father?
Yes, he was there's another word I want to use, I can't think of right now, but yes, he was not on the right side. Deceiver, all the bad stuff rolled into one. And I wasn't going to keep reading, but we're going to keep reading. Literally, he said, oh, you died because you didn't obey. As if it was a joke to him, or he was satisfied that he tricked this man into dying. Yes, Jeff?
I see this now as, which I've went through and I've learned, and I used to get taken on me when I would go somewhere and find, like, I'd read in scripture that we're supposed to do this, but then I'd see something else happening. And then I'd hear a doctrine that would come into play saying, well, we figured it to be like this, or it's like that, or whatever. And I see his word being just like him telling that prophet not to eat there. And if we listen to anybody that takes the least of the commands out of the word, just the least of the commands.
Yeah, and that actually
It's the
goes,
same thing as eating dinner with that person.
it goes back to what I was just saying. If we've read it and we know what it says, somebody comes and says, "Oh, that's not what it meant. It means this," and then we're like, "Oh, let me stop. Let me pause. Let me ask Yahweh," and He doesn't say anything to us. Nothing is revealed. What He originally said is true. It's almost like you know what it is. Don't be deceived. Be vigilant. Be sober. Don't let the adversary come and take away your crown by trying to trick you into thinking something different from what you have been told. We're told that many times in Scripture. Yes?
Sober mind is his word.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that later. This one is the vigilant side of being sober. Sober-minded, that's another whole different thing. Not letting other things cloud out our judgment. And guys, again, having your judgment clouded by distraction as opposed to being vigilant and standing strong and true to what Yahweh has told us to do. It's kind of the same, but it's a little different. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep reading this. I may run out of time, but oh well. Where did I leave off? Verse 23. And it came to pass after he had eaten bread and had drank, he saddled up his donkey, to wit, the prophet whom he had brought back. And when he had gone, a lion met him in the way and slew him, and his carcass was cast into the way, and the donkey stood by it. And the lion also stood by the carcass. And behold, men passed by and saw the carcass cast into the way, and the lion standing by the carcass. And they came and told it to the city where the old prophet dwelt. And when the prophet that brought him back from the way heard thereof, he said, it is the man of Elohim who is disobedient to the word of Yahweh. Him and to the lion which have torn him and slain him according to the word of Yahweh, which he spake unto him. And he spake unto the son and said, saddle up his donkey, and they saddled him. And he went and found the carcass cast in the way, and the donkey and the lion standing by the carcass. And the lion had not eaten the carcass, nor torn it, the donkey. And the prophet took up the carcass of the man of Elohim and laid it upon the donkey and brought it back until the old prophet came into the city to mourn and to bury him. And so his statement of just callously, yeah, he died because he didn't obey Yahweh. Well, you are the one and the reason he didn't obey. But who does it fall on? It goes back to when we stand before the judgment seat of Messiah, who is held accountable for our actions? The person that lied to us?
No.
Or us because we were not vigilant?
And then accused him.
Say that again?
He lied to him and then accused him of doing it.
Yeah, he lied to him and accused him of doing the wrong
Yeah,
thing.
it's like,
yes.
Here, you want some poison? That guy's so stupid, he needs poison.
Yes. And so that is a perfect example of someone that is literally not vigilant when he has been totally instructed and given instructions and not holding true to those instructions. Proving all things, whatever someone has said to you, is something we are commanded to do. To make sure that what we are being told and what we are being asked and what we are being led to do is according to Yahweh's will. And the moment we say, oh, I'm not appointed to wrath, so I don't have to worry about anything, guess what? You're leaving yourself wide open to be attacked. Another example that I want to give of someone not being vigilant. Let's go to Proverbs 7. I'm going to read this whole chapter. This is one of my favorite stories about how we should be guarded and how we should be attentive and on alert and keeping our eyes open and not falling for the wiles of the devil or the adversary, the tricks of the adversary. Because if the adversary cannot use force, if the adversary cannot use fear, the next trick, if the adversary cannot use lying, here's the next trick that we have to watch out for. Proverbs 7 verse 1 says, my son, keep my word and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live. So if you don't keep no commandments, what are you going to do? Die. And my law as the apple of thine eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thy heart. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. That they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. Flattery is the next trick of the adversary. If he can't get in by all of the other tricks, the next is going to be flattery. And it says her, and it says a woman here, and we are going to see who this woman is that flattereth with her words. Verse 6, for at the window of my house I looked through my casement, and beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youth a young man void of understanding. Number one, that's not a good thing to be young and void of understanding. You should be young and striving for understanding at all times. Just because you're young doesn't give you a pass for being tricked and not being vigilant. Verse 8, passing through the streets near her corner, and he went the way of her house. Well, who is her? In the twilight, this is the woman that's flattering with her words. He went by her house and on the corner, in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark of night. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of a harlot. Sign number one. You should be looking sideways when, somebody comes to you and they don't outwardly have the appearance of someone that you should be trusting in. And subtle of heart. Verse 11, she is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house, meaning she is not where she's supposed to be. She's out in the streets. Verse 12, and now is she without, now in the streets, and lieth wait at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent or shameless face, she said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day have I paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face, and I found thee. And I'll stop here. This young man being flattered into, I've been looking for you, and you're the person that I've been looking for all this time, and I can't believe that I found you, and I did peace offerings to see you and for you to come my way. Does that even sound? It sounds good. I'm sure it sounds good to this young man. Oh, you've been waiting for me? You've been doing peace offers for me? Yes.
Sounds like
Jeff first, then Kurt.
What's peace offerings and what are vows? I never got that. I'm like, who's this woman? What kind of she going to a temple and offering?
So she is flattering him to say that she's been asking for him. She's basically.
I've been praying about it.
Yes, I've been praying. I've been doing vows. I've been doing peace offerings just for you, and you have now come. It's flattering. Yes, trying to make him feel good about himself, bolstering his ego, that somebody out there has been asking for me. Yes, Curtis.
Sounds like Jezebel from Revelation.
Sounds like Jezebel. It sounds like the harlot that sits on the beast too. But let's go back. So this guy, this young man on the street, void of understanding, is being flattered to bolster his ego that this lady, or this, I'm assuming she's attractive because she has the attire of a harlot on, that she is waiting and looking for him. And she goes on to say in verse 16, I've decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh and aloe and cinnamon. Come, let us take our full of love until the morning. Let us comfort ourselves with love. She's like really, really laying it on thick, right? Mm-hmm. This young man is just sitting there listening to her, eating it up.
There ain't no love in it.
Definitely not any love.
If you have love, then
this is a snare.
Married.
So I'll stop here to say, if this young man was of good understanding, if he was of good discernment, if he was vigilant, like Joseph, thank you, Johnny. If he was vigilant like Joseph, what would his reaction have been? What should his reaction have been? I'm out of here. I'm still in the street. I'm gone. Exit, stage left, as Curtis says. I'm out of here. This something doesn't sound, this don't pass the smell test. I'm gone.
Run.
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 Because
Run, yeah, don't walk.
if you stay there and entertain what is being said because it makes you feel good, that is allowing yourself to be trapped. It's almost like someone saying something that's
Entertaining it.
lulling you to sleep into a trance. And next thing you know, the trap is set.
Samson.
Because, and the reason I akin this to someone almost mesmerizing you into a low state to no matter what they say, you're like, okay. Because she's flattered him that she's been waiting for him. She's presented him with an image of the bed and her house and how good it's gonna smell and how good it's gonna look and why don't you come, to where he didn't even hear what came up next. And what did she say next? Verse 19. For the good man is not home, he is gone a long journey. Her husband is not even there.
That's a key thing.
He have taken a bag of money with him and will come home at the day appointed. Meaning it's going to be a while before he get home. With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. He didn't even catch the part of she's married and her husband's gone, because he's been lulled into a comatose-like state of her flattery, of making him feel good and giving him images of what it will be like to be with her. This is a trick the adversary will use. Whatever you hold to be something that makes you feel good or bolsters your ego, or if someone says, hey, you're so good at this or you're so good at that, and you're like, really? You notice that I'm good at that? Tell me more. Tell me more. And they got you.
But we don't have to keep that command now, because we figured this out. Now it's this way. When Yah says, do not add to or take away from my word, and anyone teaches all the commandments will be great, and anyone that teaches against the least will be least. And man, don't live on bread alone, but every word.
So, and I want to add to that, and so for those on the outreaches, like we know what the commandments are, we shouldn't add to or take away. This is beyond that, in my mind. Yes, we know the commandments, we know what we should do. This is the tricks, the subtlety of the adversary, the serpent, that is going to figure out a way to twist and trick and cater to things that you hold dear to take you off the path. Because again, it's a step. If he can't do it by force, by changing doctrine, if he can't do it by lying, by saying something's false, because you know scripture too well to fall for a lie. If he can't do it by tricking you, he's going to do it by flattery. It's a progression. And just as Tony said earlier, the stronger we get in the word, the more we get on righteousness, the harder the temptation and the task and the tricks and the tests are going to be. Which means we need to be sober, we need to be vigilant, we need to be on guard, we need to be watching continuously. Don't take anything for granted, nobody's words for granted. I don't care who they are. It doesn't come from Yahweh directly. We got to validate. We got to prove. We got to do everything we can to be vigilant, so that we are not knocked off the path.
The Bereans.
The Bereans.
They checked it out. They
Checked it out before they said yes.
Believed, like you walk into a ministry. Well, this is just how it is. Show me in scripture. Show me.
Nope. So going back to verse 21, she, with her fast speech and so her flattery and all that stuff, she forced him. And it goes back to, how can she force him? Well, if he's in a comatose state because she just keeps flattering him and talking to him about how great he is, he's not going to yield. If he's vigilant and proves all things, he would not yield. Yes, Curtis?
Actually, my translation renders seduced. rather than
Seduced.
forced.
Yes, that's it even stronger. Seduced him instead of flattered. And seduction is the main. And seduction leans on if you have something in you that can be used against you to be seduced.
Like Jezebel seduced Ahab. And
Jezebel seduced Ahab, yes.
That's where sin comes from. In Jane, it says,
Lust and
entice,
sin
lust,
comes from, and it allows you
and
to
it's
be
birthed into
seduced.
sin,
Mm-hmm.
drawn away with his own lust.
Yep. And so he is likened to, let's go to verse 22. This young man is likened to, he goes after her straightway as an ox goeth to the slaughter, to his death, or as a fool to the corrections of the stalks, till a dart strike through his liver. And so when I'm reading that, a dart strikes through his liver, I was thinking, back in the day, if someone threw a spear at you and it went through your liver, you were dead. Ain't no coming back from that. And so Solomon is catering to, you're a goner. There's no coming back. As a bird that hastened to the snare, and knowing not that it is for his life. All of this is for our lives. The adversary wants to kill us.
In our sin.
Deuteronomy 28. If you listen to me, it's life. If you don't, it's cursed. So it's
Easy choice.
It all goes deep into that when you're even reading any of that.
It's an easy choice. Choose life, choose death. Yes, Tony.
You know, this is speaking of the physical here, but I'm taking it to the spiritual. You know, a lot of times Yahweh used like the marriage to represent us being united with Messiah.
Yep.
And in the book of Revelation, it speaks of the great harlot as the religious system that's seducing spiritually our souls.
Exactly.
And so, you know, many people get caught up in false ways spiritually, maybe because they were enticed in spiritual ways and flattered and so forth, and they got off the straight and narrow that way. So we could take this to a spiritual level too.
Exactly. I mean, and literally it's using spiritual ammunition and bringing it to our physical aspects.
Maybe all of my friends are with this church. I'm going to get a good job with this church. I'm going to be good with society. This will be good for my future physical. And, you know, if I stay with the truth, I'm going to maybe have some troubles, especially, you know, where people have Sabbath problems or so forth and losing jobs or whatnot.
Yes. I mean, and that's in the early stages. If you can't get past that and you're struggling with, you know, like Jeff was saying, what we should and should not be doing, that's the beginning struggle. As we walk down this path and progress, when we get to the harder struggles of how do I identify this person that's saying something that potentially is making me feel good about myself? And then all of a sudden, boom, they throw this little minuscule point in that we glaze over because we're so busy thinking about what this person just said good about us. And then we fall for the trap. It's almost like at all times, all conversation, all points, we got to be in tune and intuitive enough to know exactly what someone is saying. Not daydreaming, not falling in a lull because they're seducing and flattering us, but being present at every moment of our lives. Because it is for our life. And if we don't, we die. Yes, Jeff, were you going to say something?
Yeah, that person he was speaking about, reality is you got to learn the truth. And you got to know this is real and it ain't no joke.
Right. You got to know the truth.
Like Nebuchadnezzar and the boys in the fire, you got to stand and say, no, you know, he can save me or not save me. But I was nice to you before and I can be nice to you now.
Yeah. We got to know the truth.
That's it.
We got to utilize what we know. Yes, Tony.
Yeah, in Revelation 17, it speaks about this great harlot that's leading all the people astray, and she's drunk with the blood of the saints. And she has made the world drunk with her wine, which I would think is her doctrines. And just like this man got led to his death physically, spiritually also, but you know, she's leading many people astray. They lose their spiritual life.
Exactly. And
Like
matter of fact, that comment, let's finish
great
reading.
false religions in the world.
Yeah, let's finish reading because that comment actually, this speaks to what you just said, Tony. Let's go Proverbs 7:24. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her path, meaning being vigilant. For she hath cast down many wounded. Yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. So this harlot, or the harlot that sat on the beach, just as Tony described, has slain many mighty men, many strong men, many saints. Many have been cast down and wounded by her. Because if you ask me, that is the final trial and test to know that we are worthy, where we can overcome, for lack of a better word, this seducing spirit, so to speak. This flattery of our egos. This building us up to tear us down type of trick that the adversary uses. Because if we don't master that, how can we say, yes, I was vigilant, I did all I could to stand in the end? Yes, Jeff?
When I'm out there sharing with people, the enemy comes and starts talking to me, straight to me, swears at me, and then says, oh, you're getting so good now, or this and that, and you know, and then someone starts saying, like last night I was somewhere, and people are like, wow, you know what they're just trying to throw honor on me, and Paul said, give honor where honor is due, but reality is, everything comes from Yah. He rewards those who diligently seek him, and it all goes back to him anyways. So I don't absorb that stuff, so I don't get built up, but the enemy, when you get into this, he'll start talking to you directly. I mean, just it's like,
that actually speaks to our next verse. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 10:13, because I'm glad this is a perfect segue of how, if you're going through temptations or things just like that, and you give God glory and praise him for actually pulling you through, I think this verse goes into that, because again, he's not going to let you go through more than you can handle at any point you are in your walk. And I'm glad you said that, Jeff, because this is exactly where I was going next. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13, just one verse here. We all know this verse. There hath no temptation that taken you, but such as is common to man, meaning everybody has gone through probably something that each one of us have went through. But Elohim is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able. Wherever you are in your walk, your trial, your test, your temptation at that time is not going to be too much to where you can't get through it. I'm talking the uttermost, most diabolical, most deceptive type of test and trial that the adversary is going to use when you're far in your walk. Not saying that that will happen to you tomorrow or the next day after you learn the name, because Yahweh is not going to delay it. But you are tried and you are refined so that eventually you will be considered worthy. And those trials will come at the appropriate time. And it goes on to say, but will with the temptation also make a way for you to escape, that you may be able to bear it. He is also not going to put you in a situation you can't get out. Obviously, like you said, Jeff, just calling out to him will make you not have to go through it anymore. Yes, Jeff.
You can get out of any situation. It's either yes or no.
Not participating will allow you to get out?
Yeah, no, it's either yes or no. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not going to participate in
If someone tries to lead you to something that violates Torah, it's a no.
Yep, not going to participate. So obviously Yahweh is going to make a way for us to get out of any trap, but how good would it be for us if the best way for us to stay out of trouble, to stay out of traps, is to be vigilant enough to not fall for them in the first place, so that we don't have to be delivered.
Don't be unequally yoked.
Yeah. So if there's a trap and you fall in and you're struggling to try to get out, Yahweh, save me. You get out. But how good would it be if you see a trap that don't look right? I'm not going to go that way, and you go a different way, you never fall in it, prevents you from struggling. And it helps you keep a peace of mind. And that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. I know I'm running out of time. I still have 2 pages. I'm gonna actually try to get to a couple more. I still got 20 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah, I think so. What's the time on that? 60? Yeah, I got 20 minutes, so I'm gonna take 10 of those. Keep your guard up, and keep your guard up continuously. Stay vigilant. Stay vigilant continuously. Let's turn to Luke 21, verse 34. Luke 21, verse 34. Because Joshua is our example. He gave us our instructions on what we should do. He went through everything we went through when he came down and became flesh, so that he can actually show us it can be done, living a sinless life. Luke 21:34 says, "And take heed to yourself, lest any time your heart be overcharged with surfeiting or excess, or drunkenness, and the cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come upon all those that dwell in the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all the things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man." Being vigilant, and not only for us as an example to others being vigilant, but so that we don't fall for the snares of the devil. Watching. Now, I don't want to equate this watching, meaning we're watching what's going on around us. That's a different watch. Because watching what's going on, meaning you're watching what's affecting everybody. And you should be the watchman to warn people, hey, I see this coming, you might want to get out of the street, or you're going to get ran over. This watch that I'm talking about, this vigilance, is directly at you. Your person, something that's coming to you, the attack that is going to test the trial, the tribulation, everything that's happening to you. If you're busy watching to make sure everybody else is okay, and you get attacked, and you're not vigilant enough to identify that, what use is it? What use is it you being on the tower watching for everybody else? And then when somebody comes and taps you on the shoulder and say, hey, the good man is gone, follow me. I have mirror and cinnamon on my bed, and I have tapestries, and I've been waiting for you all of my life, come with me. And you're like, okay.
Let's stop at the Sanhedrin first. Did anyone else hear that?
And you've watched for everybody else, but you yourself have succumbed to the wiles of the adversary. So those are 2 different watches. I just want to point that out. And we should do both. But what is more important? I don't want to say that. Both are important equally. But when you stand before Yahweh and Yahshua, are you going to be standing up there, I watched for everybody and made sure everybody was okay? Well, what about yourself? What did you do for yourself? I fell in a couple of traps and snares here and there, and you saved me. But I watched for everybody else. But this is your account. We're opening the books for you. We need to show that you showed progress in your walk. You mastered your walk. But through your entire life, you just relied on Yahweh to save you. I'm not a judge. Don't know what Yahshua will say in that situation, but I don't want that to be my question from him. That through the course of my life, I never sought to be vigilant and to be sober and to watch and to make sure I didn't fall in the traps, so that Yahweh angels didn't have to work hard on my account. Yes, Jeff.
We should write down a whole week of every word we speak and see if it lines up with Scripture, because we're going to get judged according to them words. Every single word that came out of our mouth is going to be brought up. Every single action, every thought and action related to it.
Yes.
this is serious stuff. I mean, every single one, we think of it not much right now because it just passes by and we leave it behind, but it's still there.
Every word that proceeded out of your mouth will
Every
be
action.
held account. You will be held account for it, yes. And so, again, being vigilant, being watchful. What are some of the others I wrote down? Keeping an eye out, being observant, being prepared, being ready, being mindful, being careful, on guard and on alert at all times. Because of adversary is roaming around, seeking who he can devour and destroy. Let's go to Luke 12, verse 35. Luke 12, verse 35. Just 4 verses here. Luke 12, 35. Let your loins be girded about and your lights burn, meaning you should be ready. And ye yourselves like unto men that wait for their master when he will return from the wedding, that when he comes and knocks, they may open unto him immediately. Not, I got to get ready, hold on, I'll be there in a minute, but immediately opening as if you were sitting there waiting. Blessed are those servants whom Yahweh, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch, or come in the third watch, and find them so, blessed are those servants. We should be vigilant 24/7 until Yeshua returns, or until our last breath. Because if we are not, we will fall. And you don't have to turn there. Revelation 16:15 says, Yeshua said, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garment, lest he walk naked, and they shall see his shame. We cannot let the devil catch us slipping. The reward that we will miss is too great. Yes.
His law is a light and a lamp under my feet.
Yes, his law.
Keep your lamp lit.
His
So
law.
it's all obedience. Blessed and holy are those who take part in the first resurrection. Be holy as I am holy. It's all obedience. It's inevitable. That's it.
Yes.
That's watching and being awake.
Follow his word, live,
Not
be
giving in.
disobedient, and die. That is the song. And so Curtis actually went through the churches. I'm going back. Didn't know he was going to go through this. But I know we've talked about the churches a lot. But I just wanted to point this out before we end, that the actual missing out on the reward is too great. The losing our crown is too great for us in the last minute, after we've done all we can do, for the adversary to come in and just trick us with flattery, with lies, with cunningness, with bolstering, to where we are not vigilant enough to recognize, identify, and ensure that we don't fall. Because he's looking to take as many as possible with him. So you guys don't have to turn down, but I'm Revelations 2 and Revelations 2:7 first. Revelations 2 verse 7 says, he that hath an ear, let him hear the Spirit say unto the assemblies, to him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of paradise of Elohim. Having access to the tree of life so that we can live forever. That is a reward. We will lose out on it if we are not vigilant until the end. Revelations 2:11. Revelations 2:11 says, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit say unto the assemblies. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. Again, living forever, partaking in the tree of life, and not succumbing to the second death. Revelation 2:17. He that hath an ear, let him hear the Spirit say unto the assemblies. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in that stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saying, He that receiveth it. That stone, that foundation, to be a part of the foundation of Yahshua, that no one can take away. Revelations 2:26. Revelations 2:26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him I will give power over nations, to be kings and priests. And he shall rule them with a rod and iron, and vessels with powder. Shall they be broken in shivers, even as I have received of my Father. The ability to be kings and priests in Yahweh's kingdom. Let's go to Revelations 3, verse 5. Revelations 3:5. Revelation 3:5. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiments, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith to the assemblies. Revelation 3, verse 12. Revelation 3:12 says, He that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from Elohim, from Yahweh, and I will write upon him my new name, the new name that no one knows. Being a part of the family of Yahweh and Yahshua. And finally, Revelation 3:22. Revelation 3:21. Revelation 3:21. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Do you want to miss out on all of that? Or would you like to be considered one that overcometh and partake in all of the reward that Yahshua brings with him? If you want to be the latter, you have to be vigilant. You have to be sober. You have to be mindful. You have to be on guard. You have to keep a watch. You have to be ready, prepared. Can't be fooled. Can't be flattered. Can't be lied to. Can't go around life, oh, Yahweh's going to take care of me. I don't have to worry.
Once saved, always saved.
Yeah, once. I never talk about that. But it is upon us. It is our job. This is a task that is not easy. It's hard to be on guard 24/7. But we have to do it until the end, whichever end that might be. Jeff, I know you had
No, it's fine right now.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, so let's be sober and let's be vigilant all of our lives. We'll be back next week, 1 o'clock.